You do? Okay. Let me do that intro again. Hello and welcome to the Corona Cast Comedy Show. Here with me, Deliso Chaponda. If this is your first time tuning in, this is a show where I entertain you, tell you jokes because I have no live audience roughly at the time when I normally would be doing a gig. Today's episode is going to be a little bit of a mix. So some days I do shows where it's a bit of a chat show, a little bit of a discussion. Other days I do jokes from audience suggestions, sometimes a deep dive. Today's episode is going to be a deep dive on religion. Let's talk about faith, baby, and so on and so forth. Why have I decided to talk about faith? There's already been a Corona cast which was about faith, specifically about how Corona had affected people's faith. This is a little bit different, right? This is a little bit different because all over social media, people have been discussing faith and jokes once again. Because if you do not remember, tragically, several years ago, Charlie Hebdo, a French magazine which does satirical cartoons, made cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad, and there was a terrorist attack, and a number of them died. And it was a very controversial moment, a lot of arguing. But the people who published Charlie Hebdo have decided to reprint those cartoons. And I do not necessarily have an opinion on that, but it's been something that everybody has been talking about in the sort of comedic sphere all over social media today, with some people saying, not in 2020! Don't do anything that's potentially dangerous in 2020 because 2020 is feral. It's always funny to me the way that if there's a year where bad things are happening, people turn the year itself into the enemy. I know there are loads of people who are just like, fuck 2020. As soon as 2021 comes, our lives are remarkably going to be renewed. So I don't know if this numerology is true. So some people are like, don't do this in 2020. And then other people have been talking about how, this is a great way to remember and commemorate those who died, while other people have been saying not to defend the terrorists. Of course, what they did was atrocious, but the actual comics themselves were extremely racist, extremely unacceptable. And then other people are yelling at them saying that who cares if they're racist and unacceptable? Freedom of speech, you've got to be able to say this. There've been a lot of back and forth, a lot of arguing. And I was like, how can I step into this debate? I didn't want to step into it on social media because if you step into a debate on social media, you get sucked into a vortex. There's lots of insulting. So I figured the best way for me actually to respond as a comedian who has performed all around the world is with jokes. So I have written jokes about all the religions. Okay, actually, not all the religions. I didn't even realize how many religions there were. I started looking into every single religion, and I started writing jokes about all the religions, every single religion. And then I found like it's taking too long. This would be a 5-hour comedy show. So I picked a few of the religions, and I've written jokes about all of them, and I'm going to do them. What is my experience? Why do I think I can do this? Okay, because I don't think all jokes about religion have a problem. There's a difference between making fun of a religion's practices or religion's absurdities to making fun of that which is considered sacred, right? That may sound like a complicated term, but as I do the jokes, you hopefully will know what I mean. I've performed all over the world. I've performed in churches. I've performed in front of a Muslim audience in Malaysia and in Dubai. I've performed in front of Hindus. I've performed in front of all sorts of different religions. And as far as I know, I am yet to offend them. Maybe today will be the first day. In fact, I was writing all these jokes about religion today, and I was like, I have offended at least one deity. And if I am cursed, that is partly why. But I've tried my best to do what I consider jokes where I am celebrating the faith because I love religions. I am all over the place, which may lead you to ask, what is my religion? So when I was a little kid, I was Christian. I was very Christian. In fact, so Christian, in fact, I wanted to become a reverend. Yes, that was my very first aspirations. Other kids wanted to be astronauts. I was like, no, I'm going to preach. I want to be a preacher. I wanted to be a preacher so badly. So I was immersed in all of the religious scriptures. I used to think about it all the time. And then I discovered girls. This is the problem. I discovered girls around 13, 14. I think that was probably the number one thing which led me to switch my path from wanting to be a reverend. But I also had a number of depressing things which I won't go into, which made me my faith shake. And for a little while, I thought I had no religion, even though I still believed in God. And then I ended up becoming a Baha'i. More about that to come later. And then right now, I'm not even sure what I am, because I'm not sure if I'm a Baha'i, even though I still agree with them. Partly because I actually think right now I am someone searching. I'm someone looking. I'm looking through all the religions, and I'm trying. If there was a religious Tinder, I'm on religious Tinder now, swiping away, trying to find a religion that suits me and that will give my life definition. If I was going to list the things, the qualities that make me happy, what I'm looking for in religion is three things. I'm looking for a religion that doesn't think that they are the best and the most right. Every belief structure, I should actually expand it beyond religion. Every belief structure generally is based on the idea that we are right and all the rest of you are wrong, right? And why I say belief structure, not religious, because this is also true for people who are, let's say, atheists, or people who are in Alcoholics Anonymous. People who have a belief structure, generally embedded in it is we are better than everybody else. So I'm looking for a belief structure which doesn't think it's the best and the most right and everybody else is wrong. I'm looking for a religion that is okay with promiscuity. Yes, yes. And sexual deviancy. Not to tell you too much about my private life, but I would like to be able to pray and also be able to play, so to speak. Okay, that is what I'm looking for in a religion, if I was putting that. And the other thing I'm looking for is I'm really looking for a religion whose prophet was funny. I'm looking for jokes. I'm looking for hilarity, because I love humor. To me, it's the greatest thing. So that's what's going to happen. But for this episode, I'm going to be doing jokes about all these different religions, and you can tell me what you think in between each few jokes. I'll take a look at the chat, and then tell me if you like the jokes. Please be a responsive audience, because I am a man sitting in a kitchen. If you find something funny, laugh. If you find something offensive, tell me you find it offensive, because this is a faith episode. I'm willing and open to the possibilities that some of the things I may say may offend some of your sensibilities. I do not think that is a problem. Being offended by humor is something that can happen, right? I went to Book of Mormon, the musical, and I was offended at certain points, but I was not angry, because I feel art can sometimes offend you. That's one of the things which is a possibility. If I offend you, take it easy. It happens sometimes, okay? But that is not what I am seeking out to do here. So let's take a look at the chat before we get started with the jokes. Okay, all the people who, when there was no sound, hopefully I wasn't being funny before there was sound, but now there is sound. You're liking my top. This is a top from Kenya. Wonderful top from Kenya. Absolutely love it. The back also has a marvelous pattern. At least I believe this is. Did it have a marvelous pattern? I may be confusing it with one of my other tops. But okay, let's keep going. Let's see you. Hello, hello, hello. Good, good. You have lived in Egypt for 10 years. Baheb El Arab. Excellent. I assume that is a greeting of some sort. I say it back at you. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, Danielle Kennedy. How are you? Welcome to the show. Sean Alexander, Wicca. Unfortunate, there are so many faiths which I dealt with. Wicca is not one of them, actually. So maybe in the sequel, I'm not even sure I'll get through all of these without this being a giant-sized episode, right? So I'm going to keep going until the numbers start to dwindle. I've noticed if I go on too long, like right now, there are 56 people watching this show, and it's going up and down. If it gets down to like 12 or people, I'll be like, okay, people are leaving. We will continue next week. Why do I say next week? Because tomorrow I am recording the news quiz. So that's why I won't be here. I'm recording Radio 4 news quiz. I will tell you more about when you can tune into that. And then on Friday, I'm doing a gig in Ellesmere Port. Okay, but now to the jokes. Let us begin. of course, with the most recent religion that I identified with, which is the Baha'i faith. A lot of people don't know about the Baha'i faith. If I was going to explain it briefly, it would be it teaches that there's an essential worth in all religions. It is no surprise that somebody like me, who so strongly identified as a Baha'i, is doing an episode where I'm looking at all the faiths. I'm fascinated and delighted with all faiths and all the ways in which people search for truth. The only truth to me, the greatest search for truth, right? But why aren't I Baha'i now? You see, this is the problem. I grew up Christian, okay? I grew up Christian. All my life I was Christian. I knew all about being a Christian. And then I came across this philosophy, which I love. I was reading all the Baha'i books. I was reading all the Baha'i texts. And then I started going to Baha'i gatherings, Baha'i ceremonies, and I felt left out, right? I didn't know all the songs. They have all these beautiful songs. I didn't know the lyrics, right? They have all these prayers, which they have grown up with. And I was like, I agree with you, but I have to study. I have to study before I can really be one of you. And I was like, you know what? I want to connect with God, but I'm lazy. I don't want to study. I don't want to study. And I could have studied. I could have taken the time to be enough for the community. But every time I went, I felt left out, and I just, I didn't put in the effort. And I actually feel like it is, even though I still believe in all the things and I still read the words of Baha'u'llah, I don't think it is accurate to say that I am a Baha'i because I don't go to the gatherings, I don't go to the festivals, because I always feel left out. Now, this is very childish in me. I'm sure that they would explain and they would embrace me even in my not understanding way, but I was like, I want a religion where I know everything. Okay, I don't want a religion where I feel left behind. Everyone's singing a song and I'm just kind of like mouthing lyrics. So that is why I currently have had. But at the same time, if I was going to say what my beliefs are closest to, they are probably currently closest to the Baha'i faith. Okay, so next, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to talk to you about something delightful I found out about the Shinto faith. Now, the Shinto faith is a polytheistic Japanese tradition, right? And there's one element which I think deserves to be brought up. Now, Shintos believe, right, that something that has been inside a person's mouth picks up aspects of their personality. And this is partly why people who are following Shinto tradition do not share chopsticks. So they are saying something that has been in somebody's mouth picks up aspects of their personalities. I think this is why the longer that couples stay together, the more they start to act like each other. But boom, there you go. First joke of the day. Some of these are long rants, some of these are one-liners. Okay, next up, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about happy science. Happy science is a Japanese religion as well. I was reading about Japan, and happy science was founded in Japan, and this is a religious organization which is just based on maximizing happiness, right? They're all about maximizing happiness. But what I think is absolutely hilarious is this year they have sold spiritual vaccines that they claim prevent and cure COVID, right? They have also sold coronavirus-themed DVDs. And they believe that if you watch the DVD, it will somehow boost immunity. I didn't know that a DVD could somehow change your immunity to the coronavirus, but either way, this is what they're doing. They're called Happy Science. They've been selling these things for $400. So I actually think they should rename themselves from the Happy Scientists to the Happy Capitalists. Okay, let me take a look at the chat before I keep going. I'm losing people. Oh no, we lost around 10 people. Don't worry, we will power through. Thank you for those who have stuck with me. Okay, hello. Oh no, YouTube hasn't frozen for you. It froze for some people. I don't know what is going on. It might be the internet. I have no control over this kind of thing. I'm going to take that as the reason that I lost a lot of people. Not that my jokes are bad. It was freezing for some people. Damn you! Okay, let's keep going. I think that it's been freezing because God is interceding and saying that people should not listen to this episode. Okay, so Bahib al-Arabi means I love Arabic. Oh, wonderful, beautiful. It's beautiful sounds. Okay, excellent. Glad you're enjoying it, Mo the Marshmallow. Let's keep going. Yes, Ellesmere Port gig is day after tomorrow. Day after tomorrow. I'm sure if you put in Chaponda Ellesmere Port into Google, it will appear. It will appear. Okay, let's see how we're doing. How we're doing. You love the positivity of Happy Science. It is such a cool name, isn't it? Happy Science. But when we're talking about names, no name is greater than the next name, which I will be discussing, okay, people? Because the next religion we're going to talk about is Taoism, but which is a search for harmony, right? This is a Chinese practice, but I am specifically interested in one of the sub-branches, one of the sub-branches of Taoism, because like all religions, there are multiple sub-branches, probably the wrong term, sub-branches. What's the correct term? Anybody who is overeducated who is watching, what's the correct term for a sect, a sub, like, you know, like we've got Catholics, Protestants, we've got Mormons. Well, what do we call these sub-branches? What's the correct term? I know it, but my brain is failing me. So, ladies and gentlemen, one of the sub-branches of Taoism are called the Way of the 5 Pecks of Rice. Isn't that the most amazing name for a religion or for a practice? The Way of the 5 Pecks of Rice. I wonder what they would have been called if they started somewhere else in the world other than China. If it started in another time currently, would it be called the Way of the 5 ladles of ice cream? Or would it be called the Way of the 5 nuggets of chicken? Now, I, just by virtue of the name, was like, maybe this is the religion for me, okay? So this is what I read, okay? The celestial masters of the 5 pecks of rice believe that chi pervades everything. In order to achieve immortality, you meditate. I like the idea of living forever. I'm in. So far, I think they're the winner. They're the faith I'm going to be. Then we kept going, okay? Incorrect balance of chi had to be present in the body, etc., etc. Meditation could be used to restore chi to the body, but sex was to be avoided. I'm out. I'm out. You almost had me. 5 pecks of rice. You can have your 5 pecks of rice. I'm going to be here with my ladles of ice cream because I am not giving up on the sex. What little is on offer to me must be appreciated. Okay, let's keep going, ladies and gentlemen. And we are now going to talk about Islam. Now, I was told by somebody, don't talk about Islam. It's the one religion you can't make fun of. These people are talking nonsense. There are lots of brilliant jokes about Islam. This is where I go back to the fact of what's a good way to make jokes about religion in a bad way. Now, of course, some of you may disagree, but to me, the idea is you can make fun of people's practice, but not what is sacred, right? So you do not make fun of their God. You do not make fun of the prophet. What you do is you maybe do a joke about the fact that, you know, my friend Nabil, who's a brilliant Muslim comedian, who's on Britain's Got Talent right now, represent, vote for him, right? But I would make fun of him that he prays 5 times a day. I pray 2 times a day. And I'm like, how many problems have you got that you need 3 more prayers a day than me? I mean, I cover all of my problems with my 2 prayers, right? Have you got more problems, or are you just boring God, right? Something like that is a joke where I'm making fun not of that which is sacred. You make fun of things of the practice. You can make fun of the clothes. You can make fun of a yarmulke, right? And nobody will get offended. So if you actually look at, they've been absolutely amazing religious comedies over there. There's a one called Keep the Faith. Keep the Faith with Ben Stiller and Edward Norton, which I recommend highly. Watch it. It's very hilarious. It's not the subject, it's how you treat it. So that is one thing I would say. Lots of bad press because they are some nutters. They are some horrible fundamentalists. They are some terrorists who give their entire faith a bad name, but lots of the best comedians I know are Islamic and talk about it. I recommend Nabil. I recommend Imran Yusuf, absolutely brilliant comedian. Okay, to be continued, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go on to Judaism. Judaism. Now, this was another thing. There was another cartoon-related news story in the last 6 weeks. There was a I believe an editor of a magazine who had to resign because of an anti-Semitic cartoon. I may not be remembering the story entirely, but you can Google it if you want to check the facts. This is another one where some people are nervous, but it's not about the joke. It's about what you say about it, right? I've got a joke. I've got a joke, right? Then when I was a little kid, and it's totally true, I didn't understand religion. I didn't understand religion. I remember walking down the street with my dad. We're walking past a church. It had a crucifix, and I said, Dad, why is there a cross on that house? Right? And my dad said, oh, the person who started that religion died on a cross. So to remember him, they have the crucifix. The next day, I was walking past a synagogue and I saw the Star of David. And I was like, wow, the person who started that religion was killed by ninjas. As you see, a silly joke about a child's misunderstanding has a very low chance of upsetting anyone. Now, some people, oh, actually, let me look at the chat. Let's see what people are saying. Aha, the word I was looking for was a sect of religion. Thank you, Sam Marks, for the word. Sect, indeed, was what I was looking for. There's another synonym for it, which is what I was really looking. Denomination. I think I was looking for denomination, but there are many words. Letterboxes was offensive. Indeed, it's also, there's also something about the tone in which it is said, the person who is saying it, and what you perceive their intent to be. Now, these are so many things, which is why it's intangible, but there are times when someone makes a joke about religion and it feels mean-spirited, and there are other times when it feels like they're just being funny, right? There's a comedian called Glenn Wool who has a magnificent joke, which of course I will not repeat, about Hinduism. Feel free to Google it or check it out on YouTube, and you will see he is just delighted. And delight is very different from hate. And you can often tell, even in the telling, how people mean what they said. Okay. And Sean Alexander says that wasn't said in a comedy sketch. And that is true as well. If a person is being a comedian and they say something offensive, it is very different from someone such as a politician saying the exact same thing. The context and what you are matters. I'm an idiot. I am a professional idiot. So I say some ridiculous things which I would never say if I had a different role. Okay, let's keep going. Ladies and gentlemen. Okay, Sam Mark says you can't see my comments. You're not ignoring them. Oh, alas. Okay, here we go. Hello from Philly in the USA. Good to have you here, Michael Whelan. There is a brilliant artist, a brilliant fantasy artist who has the same name as you. Check out his art if you have not already come across it, because he has the same name as you. Ahmed, you missed the whole thing. You did not. This is going to be a long episode. There's still people watching. I'm going to keep going until it dies down. I've got jokes about so many more religions. Let's see how many I get to before people start tuning out. Okay, let's keep going, ladies and gentlemen. We just talked about Judaism. Now I got to talk to you about possibly the most absurd religion on the planet. Prince Philip. There is a religion. There are people on an island. They are the custom people, all right? And they are at the, I may pronounce it right, the Yahonan village on the southern island of Tana in Vanuatu, right? Now, they believe that Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, the consort to Queen Elizabeth, is a divine being. They believe he's a divine being. Why do they believe this? Okay, so in their faith, they had this legend. They had this legend of the son, of a person coming. A lot of religions have, you know, the great one is coming. The divine is coming in the future. Okay, and Prince Philip showed up. The Queen showed up, everybody was being deferential to, oh no, I think it was, they saw the queen and they saw everybody being deferential to the queen, right? They could not grasp this because this is not a society where women are venerated. So they imagined the only reason that everybody is bowing to this woman is that her husband must be our prophesied the son. I may be garbling this, right? I may not be getting it exactly right because different articles explain it in different ways, but the fact remains that there are a bunch of villagers who worship Prince Philip. And the funniest part of all of this is he's played along with it. He's played along with this, right? Because what they did was they asked him to send a portrait of himself for them to worship. He signed a photograph and sent it to them. Now, rather than saying, "Hey guys, I'm not your God," he's like, "Well, they want a photograph. Why not?" Sent them a photograph, and then they, in response, sent him a club which is used for killing pigs. Right? They sent it to me. I was like, great. He took a photo with him and the pig killing club, and then he sent it back to them. Now, say what you would about Prince Philip. He said controversial things all the time, but I think it's just polite. If people choose to worship you, the least you can do is send them a signed photograph. If anybody wants to decide to start worshiping Daliso, I will happily sign a Daliso Chaponda photograph and send it to you. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Let's get rid of that. Here we go. I hope you're all enjoying this episode, and it may be the last episode of the CharaKva Comedy Show if I am canceled on Twitter and removed from YouTube because of the offensive things that I'm saying. But I think I'm being playful, not offensive. Okay, let's move on to Hinduism. Hinduism is a massive religion. It's the third biggest religion in the planet at present. There are so many sects, so many denominations, that are entirely different, right? There's some which are monotheistic. There's some that are polytheistic. There's some, they are so complicated that I cannot explain it. So I just focused on one fascinating ritual. Okay, now I will say it wrong, but the Mahalakshmi temple, right, in Tamil Nadu, they have an amazing, absolutely amazing ritual whereby they have a smashing of coconuts on the heads of the faithful for good luck. Now, I don't know what kind of good luck you're looking for, but the way I look at it, if you've smashed a coconut on my head, that's already an unlucky day on me. Now, where does this magnificent ritual come from, right? It comes from an actual thing which happened in history, right? The British people wanted to build a railway track across where the temple was, right? You know, British colonialists, this is how they were rolling. This is how they were rolling, right? They were just knocking stuff down, building their railway, and they petitioned the British and said, this is a very sacred place. Do not build the railway here. Do not build the railway here, okay? The British struck a deal with them. They said, okay, if you can break these stones against your head, it will prove that the Lord is with you, and we won't build the railway over your temple. And so they somehow, monks or whoever was involved, I don't know the specifics. You can look into this more if you like this story. They grabbed the stones, they whacked them against the head, they cracked the stones, and so the British built their railway around them. That's essentially the essence of the story. Now, in order to commemorate this, they whack people on the heads with coconuts, and it gives them good luck. I'm like, look, you're not actually using the stones. So why didn't we use a softer fruit to commemorate it? You know what I mean? Like use a mango. Actually, mangoes are quite hard. Strawberries? No, it needs to be like a rock. Maybe they had no choice but to use a coconut. People in the chat, what fruit should they have used that would not have done as much damage? Let me know, because I love this. I love this ritual, but it seems painful. Okay, let me take a look at the chat and see what's going on. Yes, Phyllis says, you stand with Prince Philip, as do I, At least I do. Exactly, exactly. Um, Bart Dujardin says you want an autographed club right now. I fully understand that. Excellence. Yes, you never knew that they were monotheistic sects. Yes, indeed. In fact, a lot of Hinduism, I'm not a Hindu, so anybody Hindu, feel free to correct me. A lot of Hindu worship one force through many aspects, and then there are other aspects, but it's so complicated. Trust me on this. I read like 10 pages of this and I was like, I am not actually qualified to talk about the complexity of this and the way that all of them are slightly different, but I am qualified to talk about people whacking people on the head with coconuts. Okay, excellent. Sean Alexander says, you took GCSE religious education. You wish I was your teacher. So much more fun. I would be an atrocious teacher. I'm sure I would be censured for swearing and talking about sex, but at least the kids would be having fun. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going. A watermelon? Watermelons hurt a lot. No, we're still looking. We're still looking for a fruit which we can whack on the head, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move on to the next religion. Coming up is Buddhism. Buddhism, again, a very global religion. I have a very personal experience with Buddhism. Okay, at some point in my life, I spent the night in a hotel room, not in a romantic way, but with a close friend of mine, and she had just gone through a bad breakup. In fact, the breakup happened while she was with me, right? So she was with me, we were hanging out, her boyfriend started imagining things and got very angry and broke up with her by text, which is coward's way to do it, right? Broke up with her. And then I was now with her, who is Buddhist, in a hotel room alone, and she felt the need to cheer herself up because she was wailing and crying, and then she felt the way to pull herself together is to start doing Buddhist chanting. So she sat in the corner of the room and started going Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, again and again and again and again for at least 40 minutes. Okay, now I gotta tell you, more power to her, more power to Buddhism for helping her pull herself together in this time of emotional struggle. But as somebody sharing the room with her, I had a headache. I was like, can't you just cry? And oh my Lord. And either way, I do not know if this is a common practice in Buddhism or if it was specifically her who pulled herself together after a breakup by chanting, but it worked, people. It worked. She'd stopped crying, she pulled herself together, and she was doing better. So maybe if you're going through a breakup, you need to look into this, right? I don't know if other religions have a way for you to cope with breakups, but I was impressed, even though my ears were not, and I ended up having a headache. Not anything against the chant. Maybe it's her particular way of vocalizing that gave me the headache. Okay. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about CHARAKVA. Now, CHARAKVA is very interesting. Now, this is an old religion, an old faith, which existed in 600 BC. I bring it up because it may sound very familiar to you, okay? So the CHARAKVA school of philosophy in India, right, were entirely materialistic, and they believed that perception and direct experiments were the only way to source knowledge, okay? They did not believe in karma, rebirth, afterlife, or gods. To them, they only believed in what they could see evidentiary. Essentially, they were atheists. They were very early atheists. They believed in it has to be provable, it has to be experienceable, only that which we see is real, okay? Now, I bring this up because I was telling you that I was looking for a belief structure which didn't feel that they were the only ones and they were better than everybody else. And often I have found that atheists do have that, you're all wrong, you're all dumb, we're all right. They were very interesting. And I just want to say that CHARAKVA were better than you, atheists, right? Because they had all the same views that you did, but they had catchy poetry, right? This is what's missing from Richard Dawkins' The God Delusion. I read the entire book and there was no catchy poetry. This is from the text of CHARAKVA. There is no other world than this. There is no heaven and no hell. The realm of Shiva and like regions are fabricated by stupid imposters. They wrote little poems, I'm sure, in their original language. It probably even rhymes. Now, I will say, though, they think that everybody else is a stupid imposter. So they, too, think they're better than everybody else. But let's keep going, ladies and gentlemen. The only thing I do like about them is that the CHARAKVA believed that there was nothing wrong with sensual pleasure, right? They were all about the sex. Alas, I don't agree with them, but at least they've come close to pleasing me. Let's move on, ladies and gentlemen, to atheism. Those of you who are atheists, I have a lot of, the UK is very secular. There are a lot of atheists and there are a lot of agnostics. Now, I'd almost say that, so atheists believe there is nothing and agnostics say there might be something, but we're not sure, right? Now, I bring this up because it's very funny when you perform all around the world and you realize how different the cultures are in African comedy shows, especially big African comedy shows. Like, let's say when I've done Night of 1,000 Laughs in Nigeria, or when I've done like the Churchill show in Kenya, or when I've done like Stand Up Africa in South Africa. Whenever you do one of these big giant shows, when I've done shows in Malawi, it is almost certain that all the comedians who are about to be on before the show will say, okay, guys, let's pray, right? And you pray, and then you go and you tell the jokes. And it's just a normal thing. Everybody prays before going on stage. I moved to the UK. I didn't realize that this wasn't how people roll, right? And I was at a comedy show, one of my first bigger comedy shows in the UK. And I said to everybody backstage, hey guys, let's pray before we go on stage. And they all looked at me like a madman. They made fun of me, all sorts of things like that. They're like, this guy's crazy. It was very funny to me. But what I still remember, though, is they all struggled, right? And I had a great gig. They all struggled. And to this day, I still remember one of them, Dom, a very funny comedian, telling me that even though he's not religious, just based on that, his next gig, he threw a prayer just in case. And maybe that's the way to convert people, Jehovah's Witnesses. Maybe that's the way. Just have a better comedy performance than them, and they will switch. So that's my little fun memory there. We're getting through, and there's still 60 people watching me. So I'm going to power through and see if I can get through. There's still a lot of religions. Maybe I need to split this up and do the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The next 10 religions on Monday. What do you think? Let me look at the comments. I'll decide on you whether I should do the next 10 on Monday. Okay, so vote away, so I know if this will be a super big episode or if it will be part 1 of 2. Okay, let's look at the chat. Here we go. Good to have you here. Maya Sherry, your religion use alcohol to cope with it. Is that why your name is Sherry? Mia, good to have you here. There is a computer game called Fruit Ninja. Oh, because he can break things with his head. I will look into Fruit Ninja. Excellent, excellent. Let's see what's going on. Hello. It was funny when I said atheists believe in nothing. It's true. They don't believe in anything. Yeah, part 1 of 2 would be great. I get people saying, not Monday more, 10 more religious, best to do them on Monday. Yeah, because it would be a super fat ass episode. I think we're right, ladies and gentlemen. This has been the first part of the Daliso Chaponda Let's Talk About Faith. This has been the first testament, so to say, the first book of Daliso doing religious jokes. We're going to do, just so you see what's coming up on Monday, right? We're going to be looking at Royalism. We're going to be talking about Sikhism. We're going to be talking about Bantu faith. We're going to be talking about ancient Hawaiian faith. We're going to be doing jokes about Rastafarianism. We're going to be doing jokes about Ethiopian Orthodox Christianity. We're going to be talking about Blackfoot First Nations mythology. We're going to be talking about Puritans. We're going to be talking about Confucians, and we're going to be talking about the Mormons. So for all that and more, I will be back on Monday with the CoronaCast comedy show. Tomorrow there will be no CoronaCast because I am recording the news quiz. I assume it airs on Friday. Details of the exact air date and time on Radio 4 will be on all my social medias. Thank you for tuning in. Feel free to donate. This has been a religious episode, so feel free to put some money on the offering plate for Daliso Chaponda. You can donate at kofi.com/Daliso Chaponda or on the Patreon. Every penny helps, because as a comedian, it is very difficult to not be earning what you normally are earning. I've got little things coming in like the news quiz and things like that, but unfortunately they are not every day. And you know, this is the second paid gig in around 2 weeks. So anyway, I appreciate anything you donate. If you have no money, do not donate. I feel bad. I felt bad. There was a student who was a big fan, and he was saying that he was going to send me some money. And I was like, no, 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 no. I'm speaking to people who have jobs, who are not struggling during the coronavirus. Any of you, feel free to donate. Anyone who is struggling, you keep the money. And thank you so much. This has been Daliso Chaponda. Have a very wonderful evening. Salam. Peace. Whatever faith you are. Good night.